Before starting the story, write in the comments section which country you belong to. The sun had begun its slow descent over the city, painting the sky with gentle strokes of pink and amber. In the quiet streets of the old neighborhood, Momal walked with a sense of purpose, though her mind was elsewhere. She wasn't aware of the beauty of the evening. She barely noticed the soft whispers of the wind through the trees. Her thoughts were heavy with the worry of exams, the pressure of life, and an unspoken longing for something she couldn't quite define. Rano, on the other hand, sat in the corner of a small cafe, his head buried in a notebook, his pen moving swiftly across the page. There was a calmness about him, a kind of quiet confidence that drew people in without effort. He looked up occasionally, watching the world outside the window, seeing things others often missed: the fluttering leaves, the children chasing a ball, a stray cat sleeping on a wall. He loved noticing the small details. It was by chance, though perhaps fate had a hand in it, that Momal's path led her to that very cafe. She had been searching for a place to escape the chaos of her home, a place to study where her mind could rest. As she stepped inside, her eyes met Rano's for the first time. He looked up, slightly startled, and their gazes locked for a moment longer than either of them expected. There was a strange, immediate recognition, as if they had known each other in some other life, some other time. Momal found a table near the window and settled down with her books. She couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching her. Rano, now intrigued, found himself drawn to the quiet figure in the corner. He tried to focus on his writing, but the sense of curiosity gnawed at him. Eventually, he mustered the courage to approach her. "Excuse me," he said softly. "Do you mind if I sit here?" Momal looked up, startled, then smiled politely. "No, not at all," she replied, gesturing to the empty chair across from her. Rano sat down, careful not to disturb the papers and books scattered before her. For a few moments there was silence, an awkward but comfortable pause that neither wanted to break. Then Rano spoke again, his voice calm and inviting. "I couldn't help noticing you were reading the same book I just finished. Do you like it?" Momal's eyes brightened. "Yes," she said, it's one of those stories that stays with you, even after you close the book. Did you like it?" "I did," Rano replied, a smile touching his lips. "There's something about the way the author explores the characters' inner struggles. It feels so real." They fell into conversation easily, their words weaving a tapestry of shared thoughts and quiet laughter. Hours passed without them noticing, as if time itself had decided to give them this moment. There was a connection forming, subtle but undeniable, like two threads being slowly intertwined. As the evening shadows lengthened, Rano hesitated, then said, "I know this might sound forward, but would you like to meet again? Maybe for coffee or even just to talk. I feel like there's a lot more to discover." Momal felt a warmth in her chest. She nodded slowly. "I'd like that," she said softly. They exchanged numbers, a small, simple act that felt monumental. As Momal left the cafe, her heart was lighter than it had been in weeks. She didn't fully understand why, but something about Rano had stirred a feeling she hadn't known she had been missing, a feeling of hope, of possibility, of being seen. Rano watched her leave, his mind alive with thoughts of her laughter, the way she had tucked her hair behind her ear when she was thinking, and the gentle intensity in her eyes. He had met many people before, but none had struck a chord so immediately, so profoundly. That night, as Momal lay in bed, she thought about Rano constantly. She remembered his quiet smile, the sound of his voice, and the ease with which they had spoken. She wondered if she would dream of him, if the universe had, in some small way, conspired to bring them together. Rano, meanwhile, sat by his window, notebook forgotten. The city's lights shimmered below him, and he found himself sketching her face in his mind, trying to capture the warmth and grace that had so effortlessly entered his life. There was a sense of anticipation in him, a feeling that something extraordinary had begun, even if neither one of them yet knew how fragile it might be. In that moment, the world outside seemed both immense and intimate, and for the first time in a long while, both Momal and Rano felt a quiet, trembling certainty that life was about to change. It was the beginning of a story neither could predict, a story that would challenge their hearts, their trust, and their understanding of love. But at that moment, in the gentle light of an ordinary evening, all they felt was the pull of something new, something worth risking everything for. The following days were filled with a quiet, tender energy that neither Momal nor Rano could ignore. They exchanged messages that carried more weight than casual greetings. Each good morning or good night felt like a thread pulling them closer, stitching small moments into a delicate tapestry of shared attention. Momal tried to focus on her studies, but her mind often wandered back to Rano. She found herself remembering the way his smile lingered in her memory, the way he listened so intently, as if each word she spoke mattered deeply. Yet, even as her heart soared with anticipation, a small shadow of doubt crept in. Was he really as genuine as he seemed? Or was this just a fleeting connection, soon to vanish when life became too busy or complicated? Rano, meanwhile, felt the same pull, tinged with his own uncertainties. He had rarely met anyone who drew him in so completely. Yet he worried about moving too quickly, about misreading the subtle signals of her affection. Every message from Momo brought a surge of joy, but every pause, every delayed reply made him question whether he was imagining more than there truly was. It was a Monday afternoon when the first real test appeared. Momo had promised Rano they would meet at a small bookstore cafe she loved. She arrived early, heart fluttering with excitement. She bought a cup of tea, sat at their usual table, and waited. Minutes passed, then half an hour, and Rano had not arrived. Her phone buzzed finally, a short message. "Running late. Something came up. Sorry." Momo's chest sunk. She'd been looking forward to this, hoping for a quiet hour with him. Yet now that anticipation was replaced by disappointment. She typed a quick reply, trying to sound casual. "No problem. Take your time." But the words felt hollow. She wondered why he hadn't called to explain properly. Her mind raced with questions. Was he avoiding her? Was this careless or just unfortunate timing? When Rano finally arrived, he looked apologetic, almost guilty. "Momo, I'm so sorry. There was an emergency at work and I couldn't leave earlier. I should have called sooner." Momo forced a smile. "It's okay. I waited." Her voice was calm, but her eyes betrayed the hurt she felt. They sat together, but the moment had shifted. The easy rhythm of their previous conversation was slightly fractured. Rano tried to bridge the gap, talking about books, shared dreams, and little observations of life. Momo laughed occasionally, but there was a caution in her voice, a subtle reminder that trust, once shaken, could not be restored instantly. Over the next week, this pattern repeated itself in smaller ways. A message left unread for a few hours, a canceled plan at the last moment, or an answer that seemed distracted. Each tiny misstep became a quiet test of patience. Momo, who had grown accustomed to the thoughtfulness Rano had shown initially, found herself analyzing every action, wondering if these were signs of indifference. Rano, on the other hand, noticed the change in her tone. She was polite, warm even, but she no longer laughed at his small jokes with the same ease. He feared that he had made mistakes without realizing their impact, and the thought of losing her, of her withdrawing emotionally, gnawed at him. One evening they met at a park near the river. The water shimmered under the streetlights, and the air was cool, carrying the faint scent of jasmine. For a while they walked in silence, the quiet stretching between them like a fragile thread. Finally Momo spoke. "Rano, I don't want to seem overreactive, but lately I feel like we're testing each other too much. Every small thing makes me anxious. Did I do something wrong?" Rano stopped and looked at her, really looked, as if trying to see into her thoughts. "No, Momo, you haven't done anything wrong. If anything, it's me. I just get caught up in the little things and forget that what matters most is being here with you, honestly and fully." She studied his face, searching for any sign of insincerity. Finding none, she softened. I want to trust you, Rano. I really do. But sometimes it feels like there's a distance growing, even if we're standing right next to each other. He took her hand gently. I understand. I don't want us to lose what we found. I promise to try harder, not to let the tests of life get in the way of us. For a moment, the tension lifted, replaced by a quiet intimacy. They walked together in silence, hands entwined, listening to the gentle rush of the river. It was a fragile peace, but it was enough to remind them both why they had been drawn together in the first place. The laughter, the understanding, the feeling that someone truly saw them. But even as they shared this fragile connection, both knew that life's challenges, misunderstandings, miscommunications, and tests of patience were far from over. The real trials of trust and love were still waiting, lurking just beyond the horizon, ready to push their hearts to the limits. That night, as Rano lay in bed, he thought about the quiet strength of Momal's character, her ability to forgive and the subtle vulnerability she carried. He realized that love was not just about joy, it was about endurance, about showing up even when tests came uninvited. Momal, meanwhile, stared at the ceiling of her room, her mind replaying every smile, every word, and every pause. She knew that she wanted to hold on to what they had, to navigate these uncertainties together. But a small, insistent fear whispered in the back of her mind. One mistake, one test too many, and everything could unravel. Neither of them slept easily that night. Both were caught in the delicate dance of affection and doubt, desire and restraint. And neither knew that the next test, the one that would challenge everything they had built, was coming sooner than either of them could imagine.
The days following the river walk were quieter than usual. Momal tried to focus on her studies, but her thoughts kept drifting back to Rano. She replayed their conversations, wondering if she had truly understood his intentions, or if the brief reconciliation had only masked deeper problems. Rano, too, found himself unsettled. The image of Momal's eyes, soft yet cautious, haunted him. He wanted to reach out, to reassure her, to bridge the growing distance between them, but work, family obligations, and life's unexpected interruptions often kept him from responding as quickly as he wished. The first real test came on a weekend. They had planned to meet at a small art exhibition downtown, a place both of them had wanted to see for weeks. Momal arrived early, her excitement mixed with a nervous anticipation. She wandered through the gallery, absorbing the colors and textures, but every brushstroke reminded her of Rano's absence. Hours passed, and Rano had not shown up. Her phone buzzed finally. Can't make it today. Something urgent came up. I'm sorry, Momal. The apology felt automatic, almost rehearsed. Momo's heart sank. She typed a reply, her fingers trembling slightly. All right. Take care. The words were polite, but her mind spun with disappointment and frustration. Why did it always feel like she was waiting while he had other priorities? Was he truly busy? Or was this the first sign of a growing distance she had feared? When Rano finally called later that evening, Momal hesitated before answering. Her voice was calm, but restrained. I'm really sorry, Momal. Today got completely out of hand. I know I've let you down, and I hate that it keeps happening. Her silence was heavy. She wanted to believe him, to let go of the frustration that had built up over weeks. But deep down, a quiet fear whispered that perhaps this was the beginning of something they could not undo. The next week brought more challenges. Small misunderstandings, a missed call, a misread text, a delayed reply, began to accumulate like stones in a river, slowly building a dam of doubt and insecurity. Each incident was minor on its own, but together they became a weight neither of them could ignore. One evening, they arranged to meet at a quiet tea shop. Momal arrived, her heart a mixture of hope and apprehension. Rano entered moments later, carrying a small book he had picked up just for her. For a brief moment, everything seemed as it had been in the early days, the warmth of connection, the ease of conversation. But then a misunderstanding erupted. Rano mentioned a colleague, someone who had invited him to a late dinner. Momo's heart skipped. She tried to hide the tension in her voice, but Rano noticed immediately. "Momo, are you upset?" I just don't like feeling like second priority. Every time something else comes up, I feel like I'm always waiting, and I don't know how much more waiting I can take." Rano's chest tightened. "I never meant for you to feel that way. I care about you more than I can say. But life doesn't always make it easy to be consistent. That doesn't change what I feel for you." But the damage had been done. The conversation that followed was heavy with unspoken fears, lingering doubts and emotional tension neither of them could fully resolve. Both of them wanted to bridge the gap, but pride, fatigue, and the subtle fear of being hurt again made it impossible to close the distance entirely. After that night, their interactions became cautious. They still cared deeply, but the easy flow of laughter and conversation had been replaced by careful words and guarded gestures. The tests of patience, trust, and understanding had begun to wear them down. Momal spent long nights staring at her ceiling, questioning whether love was truly enough to overcome constant trials. She remembered the early days, the laughter, the connection, the sense that someone truly saw her, and she mourned the distance that had grown so quietly between them. Rano, too, felt the weight of every missed opportunity, every unintended slight. He realized that love was not merely a feeling, but a responsibility to show up, to communicate, to reassure. And he feared that no matter how much he cared, one more misstep could shatter what they had built. The storm was building. Both hearts were tethered to each other, but the fragile threads of trust were fraying. One test too many, one moment of misunderstanding or delayed reassurance could break them apart. And though neither of them could foresee it, that test was coming sooner than either expected, a moment that would challenge the very foundation of their love. That night, as the city lights shimmered outside their windows, Momal and Rano each lay awake in thought, both feeling the invisible weight of the unspoken tension. Neither knew how much longer they could endure the quiet strain of longing, heartbreak, and unanswered questions, and neither could yet imagine the choice they would soon face, the choice that might determine whether their love would survive or crumble forever.
The weekend arrived with an uneasy calm. Momal felt a tension in her chest she could no longer ignore. Every interaction with Rano over the past few weeks had left her wondering whether love alone was enough to carry them through the constant tests of patience and trust. She loved him deeply. There was no denying that, but her heart ached with the exhaustion of constant doubt. Rano, for his part, sensed the distance between them. He wanted to bridge it, to erase the invisible barrier that had grown over time. Yet he feared that one wrong word or gesture could undo everything. The weight of his feelings pressed down on him, heavier than anything he had ever carried before. They agreed to meet at a quiet riverside cafe, the same place where they had once walked hand in hand under the soft glow of streetlights. It was familiar, intimate, and symbolic, a place where memories of hope and joy lingered, making the upcoming confrontation all the more poignant. Momal arrived first, her hands nervously clasped around a warm cup of tea. She watched the river, its gentle flow a reminder of life's inevitability, how time moved forward, whether hearts were ready or not. When Rano arrived, she looked up, and for a brief moment the sight of him brought back the warmth she had felt in the early days. "Hi," he said softly, sitting across from her. His eyes searched hers, hesitant yet determined. "Hi," she replied, her voice steady, though her heart raced. For a few moments, silence settled between them, heavy and meaningful. Both of them understood that the conversation to come would shape the future of their love. Finally, Momal spoke. "Rano, these past weeks have been hard. I've tried to be patient, I've tried to trust, but it feels like every time I let my guard down, there's another test, another moment where I wonder if you care as much as I do. I can't keep doing that. My heart can't keep doing that." Rano's hands gripped the edge of the table, knuckles white. "Momal, I love you. I have loved you from the very beginning, and nothing has changed that. I know I've made mistakes, missed calls, delayed replies, but it's never been because I care any less. Life gets messy sometimes, but I can't bear the thought of losing you because of misunderstandings." Her eyes glistened with unshed tears. "I know you care, Rano, but love isn't just about caring. It's about being present, about being consistent, about weathering the little storms together. And sometimes I feel like we're failing those tests over and over until the weight becomes too heavy." Rano reached across the table, taking her hand in his. "Then let's stop seeing them as tests," he said gently. "Let's stop letting fear and doubt dictate how we feel. I promise to be here for you, fully and completely. No excuses, no distractions. Only us, together." Momal studied his face, searching for any sign of insincerity. She saw none, only the quiet determination of a man who loved her fiercely and understood the cost of losing her. She realized then that love was not perfect, but it was willing to endure. It was willing to fight through the misunderstandings, the pauses, the disappointments, because the heart it belonged to mattered more than the mistakes along the way. Tears slid down her cheeks, but this time they were not tears of sorrow, they were tears of relief and release. "Mano, I want to try. I want to believe in us, but we have to promise to communicate, to be honest, and to never let the tests define our love again." "I promise," Rano said, his voice firm yet tender. "No more tests, no more letting life's interruptions make us doubt what we have. We face everything together, from now on." They sat in silence for a while, hands entwined, watching the river flow gently before them. The night air was cool, and the city lights reflected off the water like scattered stars. It felt as though the world had shrunk to this one moment, a moment of clarity and commitment. In the following days, their connection deepened in ways neither had anticipated. They spoke more openly, shared their fears without judgment, and celebrated the small joys of being together. Every missed message, every minor interruption became a reminder of the work they had put into understanding and trusting each other. Months passed, and the memory of the tests that once threatened to pull them apart faded into the background. They remembered them not with bitterness, but with lessons about patience, about resilience, and about the strength of love that refuses to give up. One evening, as they walked along the same riverside path where so much of their story had unfolded, Momal looked at Rano and smiled. "Do you remember the first time we walked here?" she asked softly. Rano nodded, smiling back. "I do. It feels like a lifetime ago. And yet," she said, "we're still here. We faced the tests, and we didn't let them break us." Rano pulled her close gently. "No, we didn't, and we never will as long as we face life together." They stood there, holding each other under the stars, the river whispering quietly before them. Love, they realized, was not about perfection, it was about choice. Every day they chose each other, despite the trials, despite the fear, despite the heartbreak that once seemed inevitable. And in that quiet embrace, Momal and Rano understood something profound, that even when life tests you, even when it seems too heavy to bear, love that is true will endure. It will endure because it is nurtured, cherished, and chosen again and again. They walked home that night, hand in hand, hearts lighter than they had ever been, ready to face the world together unafraid of the tests that might come, because now they knew they would face them not as individuals, but as one. The story of Momal and Rano was no longer about doubts or trials. It was a story of resilience, of trust rebuilt, and of love that had survived the tests life had thrown its way. And in the quiet night, beneath the quiet shimmer of the city lights, they walked into a future where love was no longer fragile, but unwavering, unshakable, and endless. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, emoji, share, and subscribe for more real-life love and emotional stories. Your support helps us bring more meaningful stories to life. Purple heart emoji.